I miscarried alone while my husband was partying with his friends and blamed me for ruining his birthday. What I did next changed everything. I miscarried yesterday afternoon about 12 p.m. I've never had a miscarriage before and this baby was so wished for, so it's all so fresh and I'm sobbing right now, so I apologize in advance if it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. My husband turned 27 yesterday. I 26F was pregnant with mine and my husband's 27M second child. Yesterday, I was 8 weeks pregnant. The day before yesterday we saw a beautiful heartbeat flicking on the screen and today I'm devastated. I was playing with our 2-year-old when I felt a pressure in my lower abdomen. Not long later, I noticed bleeding and I let my husband know immediately that I had discomfort and bleeding. Before long I had passed what I believe is the fetus and I messaged him, I think I lost the baby. I wanted to keep him updated and I guess I was seeking some kind of emotional support. I asked if he could come home and he said, of course, if it's urgent. I said I think it is because the pain and bleeding is getting worse and I'm starting to feel lightheaded and our 2-year-old is unattended in his playroom right now. We have no friends or family near that I could call who would get to us quicker than he could. I had to clean myself up, crawl downstairs to take paracetamol, make my son his lunch and then put him down for a nap. At this point my husband still isn't home. He was working approximately 30 minutes away and took closer to 60 minutes to get back. Hours later when I asked, it was because he'd stopped at Tesco to pick up some beers. I ended up very poorly, losing lots of blood, lightheaded, vomiting etc. and he had to take me to A&E. By the time I was discharged it was almost 8 p.m. Last week, I had said I'd make him his favorite dinner for his birthday which he reminded me when we were almost home. I said I wasn't feeling up to it and that whatever takeaway he wants is on me. He said, for fuck's sake, under his breath and then muttered something along the lines of, this bullshit has ruined my birthday. He didn't stop to get any takeaway. He just drove straight home. He put our son to bed and I went to bed and I'm not sure what he did after. I didn't see him this morning as he had already left for work. He's not messaged me all day and he got home a few hours ago. It's now 8:40 p.m. and he's been giving me silent treatment. I tried to speak to him about an hour or so ago and he ignored me and I called him a disgrace. He slammed the bedroom door and locked me out of the bedroom. His mum has since messaged me and said I need to be patient as he's also had a loss. She didn't ask how I was or anything. He's obviously speaking to his mum, but why isn't he opening up and speaking to me? She said I was harsh? I'm feeling utterly emotionally neglected right now. My body has been through emotional and physical hell. I understand that my miscarriage came at a fucking inconvenient time for him as it was his birthday and all. I'm not sure if it's the hormones making me feel crazy, but is it nuts to contemplate divorce? Some of OP's comments from both comment sections. OP clarifies, off topic, I am on annual leave, and return to work on Monday. I have already told a handful of my close co-workers that I am pregnant. I have no idea to navigate this. What is the best way to tell people that I am no longer pregnant? Do I just say? Do I wait for them to ask? I feel so stupid for telling people so soon, so I've put myself in this position. What's the least awkward way to address it so that there are absolutely no follow-up questions? I don't want to discuss it any more than I have to because I just keep breaking down. Thanks X, a commenter. You tell the person you are closest to spread the news for you. And tell them to make it clear you don't want to talk about it. Commenter, go to your doctor and get signed off. I haven't personally been in your situation but had a close friend who went through similar. Her doctor offered her 2 weeks initial certificate and more if she needed it. She ended up wanting to go back earlier but he said it was her choice. Definitely take some time to yourself. You have gone through a massive trauma and need time before you have to face work. As for your husband, you are definitely NTA. If I could, I'd use much stronger language than you did. Both he and his mother should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. I know you said you have no family close by, but is there anyone you and your son can go to stay with for a while who will give you the love and support you deserve? OP, are you in the UK? I'm in England. My doctor's surgery is closed until Tuesday because of the bank holiday weekend. Do you know if OOHGPs are able to sign me off work? My work involves closely monitoring new members of staff, assessing them, and signing them off to work independently. I need to be able to focus completely as there is no room for error. And be smiley and friendly. I don't think I'm able to do this right now, but I'm not sure how to get signed off as I'm back in work on Monday. I'm not sure if that makes sense. Top commenter, important, you are still at risk of infection at this juncture. It's still dangerous for you. Monitor your bleeding and temperature. Your marriage is over. How long you stay with him is up to you. But this man is neither husband nor father material. He cares more about his wants than your or your child's needs. It took a crisis like this to show who he really is. NTA. I'm so sorry you are going through all this. OP, I also have tonsillitis at the moment, so I'm feeling really rough. How will I know if a fever is from that or the miscarriage? I currently have a low-grade fever at 37.9 degrees Celsius, around 100 F, but I'm not sure what it's due to. The bleeding is no longer heavy. Commenter, honey, have you got a doctor to consult? Best to ask them. I don't know how to tell the difference, I just know I wound up with an infection and emergency D&C a week after a miscarriage. The bleeding didn't slow for me plus a slight fever. I didn't expect to be sick later. Hugs. OP, I spoke with my doctor yesterday and because of the bank holiday weekend I can't have a scan until Tuesday, to confirm everything has been passed. I spoke to a pharmacist today who said try home remedies because he doesn't think it's severe enough for antibiotics at this point as he could only see 3 white spots on my tonsils. You can't hear a heartbeat at 8 weeks, commenter, I didn't mention anything about hearing a heartbeat. They don't listen to heartbeat through ultrasound here in England, they use Dopplers later on in the pregnancy. We saw the heartbeat flickering on the ultrasound after the technician smiled and pointed it out to us. By the sounds of things you're lucky enough to have never been referred to EPAC for an early scan. I had a scan at 6 weeks and a scan at 8 weeks. You're kind of correct that the NHS do the first scan at 12 weeks, the dating scan. But unfortunately not everyone has fucking straightforward pregnancies. Don't pull apart my story and try to invalidate my fucking miscarriage. I apologize for being short but I had no sleep last night and I'm in so much pain then picked up my phone to see a comment that my story is probably fake because some sheltered person has had the pleasure of not attending EPAC. OP a few hours later, fever is currently 38.5 degrees Celsius, 101.3 F. I think I'm going to have to head to A&E for a peace of mind. Thank you guys for your advice. I'll try to respond to the comments in regard to my husband when I'm feeling better and have recovered. It's just been a hellish day and a half. Mini update, 2 days later I'm not sure how to do an update or if anyone will see this. I have left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family and are safe. I have another scan tomorrow morning to make sure I have passed everything successfully. Thank you to everyone who had reached out and offered advice, it's been really helpful. Plus I started antibiotics for my tonsillitis on Saturday and I'm already feeling much better. Update, 2 days later, 5 from OG Post a kind Reddit user informed me that this is the best way to do an update, rather than adding a comment to my previous post so hopefully this reaches the right people. I should have clarified in my original post from last week that the way my husband responded was completely out of character for him. He's usually a caring and supportive man and is a good husband and father. The only incident where he's shown any kind of red flags was when I put together an accent chair. I used a screwdriver to attach the legs to the seat, and when he came home from work and saw that I'd done it myself, he jumped on it until it broke to show that I didn't do it properly and that I should have waited for him to come home. He'd been under lots of stress at work so I asked him to go to therapy, which he did, instead of pulling the divorce card straight away. We have been together for 7 years in May and is the only partner I've ever known. My family all love him and have accepted him from day one. I also should have clarified, yes, I know he was an AH in the scenario, I wasn't questioning that. What I was questioning was whether I took it a step too far in calling him a disgrace. He's going through a lot at work at the moment, it was his birthday, I'd been messaging him and telling him that I'd miscarried his child and he had to leave work early and then I called him a disgrace after he'd taken me to the hospital and was responding to the grief in his own way. I think the majority of people said I was NTA in this scenario and due to his behavior that my insult was justified. Thank you to everyone who reached out, checked in, offered condolences and emotional support. I've read all my messages and tried to read most of the comments. Most of them have been very kind and useful and have helped a lot over the past few days. I had a scan yesterday which confirmed that everything has passed successfully. Some people may remember that I was very worried about retained tissue due to my fever over the weekend. Also, my tonsillitis has fully cleared up so I'm feeling almost back to normal, physically. I left my husband. Me and my son are staying with family in a different part of the country so we are safe and are managing. My husband did get very angry when I told him that I was leaving him. He tried to stop me from leaving with our son, put hands on me and threatened to end his life. My mum intervened and like I said, we are safe. I have some time off work now so I will continue to take time to recover emotionally and plan my next steps. Thank you if you've read this far. I doubt there will be any more updates after this. OP's comments, commenter, I'm glad you left him. But I am concerned you'll go back based on how this post is written. You are still speaking about him like he is a good husband and are justifying his behavior. Stop doing that. Make a therapy appointment for yourself. OP, he's not here to defend himself so I'm trying to make it as fair as possible from both sides so he's not made out to be a monster. I have a therapy session booked. I will not be returning to him as he's not someone that I want my son to grow up watching and witness that behavior thinking it's normal. Commenter, I'm not going to lie, I had no idea where this post was going. It seemed like you defended his behavior, then dropped the chair incident on us, then continued to defend him. By the last paragraph honestly felt like I had whiplash. Regardless, I'm happy you're away from him and are safe because he's definitely not a good person. Stressed or not, that's not how sane people conduct themselves. Please do not let him guilt you into going back to him. He's dangerous. OP, sorry, I'd like to say that I'm feeling better emotionally, but I'm not. I've kind of just word vomited like it's a diary entry in a sense. I'm going to start journaling from now so that I'm not just rambling to a load of strangers, lol. Commenter, I am curious why people do stuff like breaking other people's things like that? I had made something I 3D printed and a coworker said, it looks flimsy, and then took it somewhere I couldn't see, and smashed it with a hammer. Like, it was beyond a reasonable thing that would ever happen. Like in that moment, she had a narcissistic demand that I somehow upstaged her, so she smashed my stuff out of jealousy. It baffles me. It was literally just like your husband did. Doing something intentionally beyond its normal use to begin with, to intentionally destroy it. I read your post twice, and I think your husband is having a mental breakdown from work and has developed narcissistic personality disorder, probably from the stress. OP, I was thinking that maybe he was having some kind of mental breakdown and our miscarriage was the final straw. He said that when he stopped at Tesco to get some beers, it was for the both of us so we could drink our sorrows away. I was planning on getting him some help because he clearly needs it. He only acts insane when he's under immense pressure at work, genuinely. When he broke my chair, it was around the time of immense stress at work. But when he put his hands on me, he actually put his hands around my neck and was choking me, which is what is terrifying. I can't look at him the same, so I can't be the one to get him the help. I'm looking into full custody and solicitors so that I never have to see him again. Update, 5+ weeks later. Hi, I'm not sure if anyone remembers, but I posted on this app for the first time a while back after I had a miscarriage and my husband said I ruined his birthday. I need to start this off by asking that if anyone takes the time to comment, please do not leave negativity or insults, as I'm extremely emotionally vulnerable and I truly feel terrible. When I updated about 5 weeks ago, I didn't think I'd have to make another update, but in short, I'd left my husband and he'd forcibly tried to keep me in the house by putting his hands around my neck. It was really frightening and in that moment made me feel completely confident in my decision to leave. Since that day, I haven't had any contact with my husband. As I was leaving, he was screaming that he'd kill himself if I left. It's not the first time he's threatened this in our relationship, but I called his mom once I was in the car to let her know. She said she'd go over to see him and I didn't hear from her for another week or so. About 2 weeks ago, my husband was found dead in our family home. I'm angry, hurt, devastated, relieved and most of all guilty. I feel so guilty that he's dead. If I hadn't have left, I'm certain he'd still be alive. But I can't be certain that I would be, or that our son would be. I don't know. I don't know how much sense I'm making. I just know that there were some people worried for mine and my son's safety. Please be kind. Please reach out to loved ones or local services if you're struggling. Moving on to our next story, and it says, I 28F think a nap ruined my marriage to 30M. I 28F am married to 30M. I'll probably delete this as the morning, but I need to scream into the void. I've been married for under a year but with my husband for 6. We have a 3-month-old little girl who's fantastic. I'm a first-time mom who's a SOM. My husband WFH. My husband's not dumb, just emotionally inept sometimes. I've had a lot of resentment building since I was pregnant. His mom tormented me through my pregnancy by talking about miscarriages, stillbirths, and saying, "dead baby," to me every time my husband wasn't around. She denied, he sympathized with me, but nothing was truly ever done. Since I gave birth, my husband's just been clueless. When I was there recovering, he would go home and sleep and leave me all alone because the couch was uncomfortable. I had to call him 20 times to get him to wake up and come back to the hospital because I was lonely. Then when we left, he was asking me to carry things to the car with him. The nurse had to tell him I shouldn't carrying anything, I'd just given birth. When we got home, he complained about his lack of sleep. I was struggling learning how to nurse. He was my cheerleader through nursing, I have to give him credit there. As the first 2 months went by, I was consistently bawling about how sleep deprived I was while he was getting 8 to 10 hours of uninterrupted sleep every night. It caused a lot of fights because I couldn't hear him tell me he was exhausted without having a meltdown. Then his mom would come over and they'd leave a huge mess for me to clean on more than one occasion. He complained about the basement being messy, so I helped him lift things and clean it up. It caused me to start bleeding heavily and my doctor told me I shouldn't be lifting anything heavy. This is a point of contention because my husband continuously asked me to help him lift heavy things and I couldn't, so he'd get annoyed. Then he'd complain about it all day. Now we're at month 3 and I think my marriage is over. We've been distant ever since baby arrived and I haven't wanted to have sex or be affectionate. Husband has been asking if I'm alright a lot and I say I'm fine. I don't know what else to say. But I feel miserable and tense up every time he walks in the same room as me. Today he was on my case about walking our dog. I'm so exhausted from exclusively breastfeeding and I don't have the energy to walk her. I had been up since 2:30 a.m. with my baby and just couldn't handle anything else on my plate. So he whined and moaned about doing it but promised me I could nap. I snapped and reminded him that I haven't slept a full 8 hours in months. He got pissy and stormed off. He avoided me the entire day and locked himself in his office. I spent the rest of the day randomly breaking down in full-blown sobs because I was so tired. 11 p.m. hits and he hasn't come out of his office, so I finally break and go get him. He gives me the cold shoulder and I just break down. All the lack of support just broke me. I told him I hated him, I wish I could go home, and I even mentioned divorce. He calmed me down and apologized for being selfish. When I asked what he did all day, he said he napped. He napped the whole day. While I was struggling to keep myself standing, he was napping. I broke down. I cried and cried. He was apologetic and showering me in sorries and I love yous. For the first time ever I couldn't tell him I loved him too. Now it's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep because I'm so distraught. He's snoring next to me and I just hate him right now. I want to take my baby and run away. I don't want to live here anymore. Being a single mom seems easier than dealing with all this emotional stress and neglect. What am I supposed to do? I just can't believe I'm ready to leave him all because he took a nap. Relevant comments. Commenter, his sorry and love words mean absolutely nothing. Do you have family that you and your child can go to? OP, I moved to his home state on the other side of the country away from my family. Commenter, wow, I'm so sorry. But a nap didn't ruin your marriage. He did by being a shit father and husband. I think you would be better off being divorced from him. He needs to learn to stand on his own 2 feet and take care of his own child that he also created. Was he always like this? Or was it a bait and switch? OP, no, he's always been responsible and dependable. Picture perfect man to settle down and have a baby with. What happened, but I got pregnant and he changed into someone I don't recognize. OP further adds, he completely shut down when his paternity leave ended. It felt like living with a ghost sometimes. He was physically present but not there emotionally. I was and am struggling to keep myself together, so I have no support to give him. I know this. Transition has been hard on him, but it's hard on me too. I've wanted to lean on him, but most times he's stressed about something else needing to be done and asking me to help with it. Hence why his mom would come over, she'd be helping him with his day-to-day tasks but make my life harder. A lot of this is due to our poor communication the past 3 months, and I think we resent each other for that. Update 1, I fixed the FTM, it means first time mom, not female to male. So we talked. Well, I talked, he listened. I told him I couldn't do this anymore and something needed to change immediately or I was going to go back home and take my baby with me. He stared at me confused, but then he realized I had 2 bags packed by my dresser and ready to leave. I finally was able to articulate all the resentment that had been building. His mom's cruel and careless behavior, feeling abandoned at the hospital and now at home, how it feels that everything falls onto me so he can bring a paycheck home. I realized after saying all this I hadn't really told him how I was feeling but just continued to bottle it up. He was defensive at first and I gave him one warning that if this conversation was filled with excuses, I'm walking out. So he stopped and truly listened. He was genuinely remorseful. He only said sorry once at the end, and he meant it. Then he started asking me what I needed him to do. We made a plan and I finally feel like I can breathe a little easier. He has dog walks handled indefinitely. MIL is banned from the house and to have no contact with me or my baby. Once husband's off work, I'm off duty for the day. I'll still breastfeed because I want to do that. I get a lot of fulfillment out of it, and if you saw the way my baby pats my boob when she nurses, you would too. Her big hazel eyes are like a drug. I'm typing this while soaking in a warm bath. I've been promised the weekend to decompress and sleep until my heart's content. I'll pump instead of nurse this weekend, and we have a stash of frozen milk he is planning on using. He knows what needs to be done, her routine, how much to feed her, so I know he's capable. I can actually hear him unloading the dishwasher right now. We are planning on doing something as a couple one day out of each weekend so I don't feel like just a mom. I can be a person too. We are going to go to couples counseling and I'm going to start individual therapy. He's already in therapy. He didn't have a dad who showed him what love looked like. He had an adult toddler as a father who threw tantrums and verbally abused him and his mother. My husband often comments on how my dad drops everything in a nanosecond for me and how he wants to be like that. But he's not. He's failing me and his daughter. That was really tough for him to hear. So, now we take it day by day. If he's actually capable of change, I'll have to wait and see. My bags are still packed and by the door. I guess I have them there as a reminder to myself that leaving is an option at any moment I please. That makes me feel a little better. I'm hopeful but not delusional. I know we might not be able to come back from this, and that's okay. I have to take care of myself so my little girl has a mama who smiles at things besides her. I have an appointment scheduled for a PPD screening and my mom's planning on visiting the start of next month. My family is ready with their door wide open when I choose to come home. Made me cry to hear my dad tell me he'll be on the first flight when I'm ready so I don't have to fly home alone. Thank you all for letting me spill my guts. Update, 2 months later I have been wanting to update but have been scared. I felt so overwhelmed and haven't been sure what to write. That post I wrote was me at my lowest. I wish I could take the version of me in time and just hug her. I was broken down and I needed anyone to be real with me. Those comments felt like a slap in the face and way too much to handle all at once. So I needed time to read through and digest it all. Thank you everyone. I was diagnosed with postpartum depression and anxiety shortly after I made my post. To the people who pushed me to talk to my doctor, thank you. My life has improved tenfold after getting proper treatment. I feel like in normal updates people dive into their lives and the details of what's happened. I don't want to do that. I want to say something that's more important than me and my life. To the new moms and their loved ones, if you or anyone you know has just had a baby, check in on them. If you've just had a baby, make sure you have someone who's tuned into you. Although you have brought new life into the world and it should be joyous, you are allowed to feel whatever you feel. Please, even if you feel fine, prioritize your mental health and well-being, because your baby depends on you to be healthy so they can be healthy. What you are going through is valid and important and you need someone to look out for you. While you look out for baby, someone needs to look out for you with the same love and care. As for me, my life has turned around. Taking care of myself was the what I needed. I know people told me to leave my husband and how horrible he is, and like every other excuse post, you don't understand because you're not living it. I'm happy, safe, and healthy, but most importantly my daughter is thriving. It took a lot of work and it will continue to take a lot more. I love my husband and he has shown through time that he can be reliable and hasn't faltered. I really thought he would fail and was expecting it most days. But he hasn't, he actually turned it around and that feels better than winning the lottery. I guess people can change when they really want to, can't they? I could go on but things are better. My daughter's happy and healthy. She's feisty like me and nothing's gonna stop her. She loves her daddy as much as I do, sometimes more, and now with a clear head I can see that things are okay because we have, and continue to learn how to communicate with one another. If I could pass anything on, check on your loved ones. Sometimes they don't even know how hard they're struggling until you pull the wool from over their eyes. Thank you to everyone. Posting was the push I needed to get help. Relevant comments. Commenter, did he ever apologize for making you move heavy things that caused you to start bleeding? OP, yes he has. He continues to and has acknowledged how his selfishness came at my expense in the most vulnerable time in my life. It's shame that follows him and he asks randomly if I really do forgive him. It's uncomfortable to see how awful he feels about what happened because all I want to say is it's okay. But we both know it's not and never will be. So it's icky knowing he's gonna live with that, but I also know it's for the best. Commenter, I'm glad he realized it and is taking accountability for it. I'm curious, though, if he has ever explained WTF was going through his head during those moments? OP, he has. It's nothing special, pretty lackluster explanations. Typical, because I haven't felt it, it must mean it's not that bad, infuriating bullshit, and willful ignorance. Moving on to our next story and it says, I, 28F, found a woman's sock in my house after being away for a week and my boyfriend, 30M, lied to me about it. I was away for a week for work. He was off work nearly this entire time as he works 1 week on, 1 week off. When I came home, my boyfriend had cleaned the house up quite extensively. Obviously not a crime in itself, but it was surprising and a little out of character. I usually have to do most of the cleaning, so it was unexpected. He'd even picked up some of my laundry that I'd left in the washroom and living room and put it in the basket. I was surprised but I didn't think much of it. He started night shifts the day after I returned and I was working days so I came home from work after he'd left. I figured I'd spend some time cleaning the house too as he'd done. There's a shop vac that had been sitting just outside of our bedroom door for a few weeks that I finally moved to the closet. When I moved it, I found a sock just behind it. A small ankle sock, obviously women's in a brand that I've never seen before. I had a bad feeling by this point but I put the sock on a table by my bedside and continued cleaning, intending to ask him about it when he returned from work early in the morning. When I asked him whose sock it was, he said he didn't know. He then said he found it on the stairs and thought it was mine, so he put it there. But I put the sock there. I doubt he'd even seen it around the house or else it wouldn't have been behind the shop vac. And if he had seen it and thought it was mine, wouldn't he have put it in the basket with my other clothes that he'd put away? I told him that I put the sock there and asked him why he lied about putting it there. He said he didn't have anybody over and he didn't know whose sock it is. I left and got ready for work and he went to sleep. Any advice on how to address this? Top comment, Chupacabrona, he lied about how the sock got there, first off. And when you confronted him about why he lied, he deflected with an entirely different answer you didn't even ask about. I didn't have anyone over. But you didn't ask if he did. You asked why he lied. It doesn't really matter who the sock belongs to now, what matters is it's not yours, and he lied to you several times about it. Do you want to stay with someone who would lie about anything? Update, I don't know if I'm allowed to update in less than 48 hours as per community rules. But he woke up. I'm sitting here in my office area, doing some work but also periodically crying and reading the comments here. He came into the room and tried cuddling me from behind my chair. I was obviously stiff and he asked me why I was mad at him. I said that I didn't know why he wasn't honest with me earlier about the sock. He said he didn't lie to me. I said I put the sock there on the table so he couldn't have. He said that he'd meant he'd found the sock while cleaning and he'd tossed it aside, landing forgotten behind the shop vac. He then got super mad, saying that I'm always accusing him of cheating. Swearing around and saying that he's not coming on our trip to my parents' house during the summer and that he's staying at the house all summer and that a friend of mine who was supposed to rent the house for work during the summer can't stay there then because he'll be here. I asked him why he was getting so mad and said that I'd been upset and I just needed an explanation and reassurance from him. He continued to lose it. Stormed towards the door and threw his cup full of coffee down the stairs. Grabbed an old baseball bat that we keep by the stairs and started hitting the step outside the door yelling that he's not fucking cheating. Threw his lunch that he'd packed for work all over the steps and peeled off in his truck. Update, 2 days later we broke up. As a lot of the comments have said too, it wasn't really about the sock anymore. Maybe I won't ever know what happened while I was away, but the violence in his response was frightening and I don't want to be with someone that makes me feel unsafe in my home. It wasn't the first time I've seen him that angry, but it's the first time that he's done something so physical and I don't want to be involved if it continues to escalate. He's been taking some of his stuff while I've been out of the house, and one of our dogs which has been probably the most upsetting out of all of this, and I've been changing the lock code after each time. I have some friends that live nearby that I've explained the situation to and they've assured me I can contact them if I ever end up in an unsafe situation. Thank you to everyone that has offered advice, shared their own experiences, or expressed concern for my safety in the comments. There will be a lot of changes in my life upcoming due to this, but I know it's for the best.